Emco Cal is a plant variety management company that partners with breeding programs, nurseries, fruit growers, and fruit marketers across the country and around the world. Emco Cal administers the intellectual property rights of plant varieties developed by leading plant breeders and institutions, including the University of Florida, the University of Arkansas, the USDA, in conjunction with Oregon State University and Washington State University, as well as international programs such as the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries from Queensland, Australia, INEA from Uruguay, and the Masia Ciscar program from Spain, amongst others. Emco Cal is proud to announce its latest partnership with the Agricultural Research Service of the United States Department of Agriculture. We now represent 3 of the world's most renowned Rubus breeding programs: blackberries from the University of Arkansas, raspberries with Washington State University, and both raspberries and blackberries with the USDA ARS, breeding in conjunction with Oregon State University. The USDA ARS has entrusted Emco Cal with the exclusive management of the varieties developed through its blackberry, raspberry, blueberry, and strawberry breeding programs. Emco Cal is delighted to be representing their newest and best cultivars in all of these 4 main berry basket small fruit types. The late Dr. Chad Finn served as the chief USDA research geneticist. Dr. Finn developed some of the world's most flavorful berry varieties in use today, including some of the most promising primocane fruiting raspberries, such as Kokanee.
Our breeding program developed the variety Kokanee, which are primocane varieties that worked very well in areas such as the Mediterranean Basin, Peru, Mexico, and the United States.
It is our great privilege to now bring the world-class USDA OSU breeding program to berry farmers, retailers, and consumers around the world. Emco Cal also works with the prestigious Washington State University Raspberry Breeding Program, led by Dr. Patrick Moore. The WSU program has a long track record in the breeding of successful raspberry cultivars, such as Meeker and Cascade Harvest. Released in 1965, Meeker has been the leading raspberry of the processing industry for more than 2 decades.
We have a new red raspberry, Cascade Harvest, and it was released in 2014, and it's much larger than either Meeker or Willamette. It machine harvests very well, is somewhat resistant to root rot, and it also has very nice flavor.
Dr. Patrick Moore is excited to be releasing the newest variety from the WSU Raspberry Breeding Program, Cascade Premier. As Dr. Moore points out, this one hits all the sweet spots. It's unusual to get something this flavorful, firm, colorful, easy harvesting, and resistant to disease. Emco Cal will now use its decades of successful experience to monetize the Washington State University berry varieties, in addition to all the other renowned breeding programs Emco Cal represents throughout the world. Looking forward, our new management team is already implementing new strategies and projects which generate significant sales and growth into the future.
My name is Chad Finn, and I'm a research geneticist with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Agricultural Research Service based in Corvallis, Oregon. And happy to have you here today. We're actually at one of our research stations. So for us here today, we're talking about varieties that are now grown around the world. In the case of the primocane fruiters, this one is one of our new ones called Kokanee. Kokanee, in our program, we identified it initially as being high-yielding, large-fruited with great flavor. And Kokanee has a nice gloss. At this stage of ripening, it still tastes very much like a raspberry. It's got good Brix level. It's very good to eat. One of the nice things about Kokanee, especially for some of the fresh market, is it's got that nice, fresh, bright color. Kokanee can be picked, from what in some production areas would be considered overripe, but it can even be picked back at a very underripe stage when this still tastes very much like a raspberry. It's one of the great things about our raspberry program in general, but especially Kokanee, is it does have great flavor, even at this relatively light stage. And at this stage, it can be shipped. We have found that it ships really well. At least some of the commercial trialists we had it with were able to pick it and pack it and ship it nicely. Kokanee often needs to be picked more regularly than some of the cultivars they're currently growing. So if you're currently on a 2 or 3 day rotation, you might be on a 1 or 2 day rotation. Other things about Kokanee, like I said, it picks really well at a nice stage. Kokanee for us has been a productive plant. As almost all raspberries, it will get root rot, but it's not very quickly to get root rot. And if you were growing this in a substrate production system, you'd be able to get larger fruit, but it will size up very nicely. So we've trialed Kokanee, here in the Northwest. We've seen it grow in the eastern US. So we expect it to be able to really do anywhere where you're growing primocane fruiting raspberries. So it should be something that works well in Mediterranean basin production areas. It should be good. We know it's suitable for Mexico and those sort of production regions. So why would you want to grow Kokanee? It's got fantastic flavor. It's got great firmness. It can be picked at a wide range of firmness stages, color types, depending on where you market. It's adaptable to whatever your production practices and harvesting practices are.
We just released a new cultivar, Cascade Harvest.
The Cascade Harvest is a larger berry, very nice flavored fruit.
It machine harvests very well, it hand harvests very well, can be used for different purposes, and it also has very nice flavor. Hi, I'm Pat Moore with Washington State University at the Puyallup Research and Extension Center. My job with WSU is plant breeding, so I work with strawberries and raspberries. Today I'm going to talk about raspberries. This is Willamette raspberry. It was released by the USDA in Oregon back in 1943 and dominated the industry for many decades. Here's a fruit of Willamette. Finally, in the early 80s, it got replaced by this cultivar, Meeker, which is from Washington State University. It passed Willamette because it had higher yields than Willamette and machine harvested very well. Meeker has dominated the industry since and still comprising about 40 to 50% of the industry. We just released a new cultivar, Cascade Harvest, and it was released in 2014. It's larger fruited than either Meeker or Willamette. It also has some disease resistance. It's somewhat resistant to root rot, much better than Meeker or Willamette. Cascade Harvest, it's lighter in color than both of them, giving more flexibility. But it machine harvests very well, it hand harvests very well, and it would be very good for fresh eating. So it is much more flexible, can be used for different purposes, and it also has very nice flavor. It does very well in its planting so far, and hope that it will aid the industry.
John Clark. I grew up in the berry business. We've been in the berry farm for 70 years. The Cascade Harvest variety we planted 3 years ago. This year, the second year of harvest, we've looked like we have an excellent yield there, very good yield. The Cascade Harvest is a larger berry. It's very easy to harvest with a mechanical harvester. It grows upright, straight up, which makes it easier to prune and tie. And I think that, it's good growth, very good growth from what we've seen. Cascade Harvest, they're a very nice flavored fruit, and going forward, it looks favorable.